Hello, welcome to Faith and Beyond YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Claire, and today I am so excited to host my best friend, and I will let her introduce herself in depth. But in a few words, if I can say who she is, I will go into the book of Proverbs 31. We all know that verse and the chapter, but I'm going to pick a couple verses that describe who she is. If we read Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10, I need glasses these days.
I don't think mine will work.
Verse 10 says, "A wife of noble character who can find? She's worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value." 12 says, "She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life." I'll jump to verse 15. "She gets up while it is, provides food for her family and portions for her female servants." Do you have female servants? Number 17 says, "She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks." Verse 20 says, "She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy." Verse 25 says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom and faithful instructions on her tongue." Verse 28 says, "Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpasses them all." So I am so excited to have you here because you are one of my best friends. And 6 years ago, when I met you, my life changed, and you have walked this motherhood journey with me. And I am so grateful that you're here with us today to talk to us how to balance motherhood, wife life, and homemaking without being overwhelmed. So you are welcome to Faith and Beyond.
Thank you so much for having me. I'd like to start with, my life as well changed when we met, and the friendship that we've developed has just been a real treasure on this side of heaven. So, I am a Christian, Yost, and I am a wife and a homeschool mom to 4. My oldest is in Georgia, where she pursued a graduate degree and has settled there. My first son is in college and pursuing a math degree with a concentration in engineering. A big task. My third child is pursuing a pilot's license and hopes to fly airplanes for the National Park Service.
Wow.
And then I have the baby who's 12. So, and that is, who knows what he'll do.
Mm-hmm. So for someone who has met you for the first time, you said you are married. And can you let us know how long have you been married and a little bit about your husband?
I've been married for 26 years, 28 years known him. We have built a very crazy life, and yet just exactly what I expected out of being married and a homemaker. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than what I had thought it was going to be. But we live well together in a space of 5 acres and do the things that need to be done and some of the things that don't need to be done. We just enjoy life together. So we're happily married. But,
wow.
but it's not without its hardships and its tears and its toil too. Because it's marriage. That's what marriage is.
Yes, it has its ups and downs. And for the purpose of today's video, when I met you, I had little kids, and I had to juggle between being a mom and a wife and working. When I remember about those days, there are some emotions that are rising in there. But I met you at a time that I needed someone to push me, and I am so grateful that I met you then, and you were so gracious and kind to welcome me into your life, and you walked the journey with me. You are one of those women that the Bible says that older women teach younger women. I don't know the rest, but I know that part. And I am so grateful that I met you in that season of my life. My children were ages between 4.5 and 1.5, and I was in the middle there in
chaos. You were in the middle of
chaos in a new country where I didn't have a sister. I had one friend, I had Miss Christine, but I needed someone to walk with me this journey of motherhood. And I was away from my mom. I know my mom is my best friend. She would have walked the journey with me, but she was far away. So that is how you came in. So for someone, and the reason why I want you to talk to us about motherhood is because you have helped me a lot in scheduling my days, in knowing what to do before the other, like to have a system in a home, not go crazy, still love my husband and love my children, but also take care of myself. Mm-hmm. So yeah. The floor is yours. Take us through.
I think if ourselves today could look back on that time, a wiser person now than I was even 6 years ago, we can look back at that crazy entering a new country, having all these small children that seemed to multiply even though there were just 3. Mm-hmm. We would have said, it feels like chaos now. Right now.
Yes.
It's not forever. Nothing's permanent but Jesus. So it felt at that time, but now we look back on it and go, oh, that was such a short time. Mm-hmm. And it's not forever. But I think, I don't know exactly where we want to begin.
Yes, like for us, like for a new mom.
A new mom.
She wants to, she has a lot of things to juggle.
Yes.
She has a job to go to. She has a home to take care of. And she doesn't want to forget herself. What can she do?
Right. So we've talked a little bit about this in the past, that what kind of got me started on the journey of establishing a significant order in my house. I had only 2 young children at home at that time, and I wasn't sleeping well because I was worried about the things that I would need to do the next day. I wasn't even doing the things that I needed to do the next day well, if at all. Mm-hmm. Because the list or the things that I perceived needed to get done were so numerous and so overwhelming that I mostly spent most of my time in those days as a new mom of just 2 at that time, feeling so overwhelmed and so heavy-hearted that I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating well. I was scarfing down the heels of the bread of the sandwiches that I was making, if that. I was trying to nurse a baby and kind of start the homeschool journey with my oldest. And with that came just complete fatigue. And I remember one particular night of total desperation. And that's where it always begins, is the surrender. Yeah. And I can't do this. And hearing that still small voice, that quiet whisper, rest. Which prompted me to establish just one thing in our routine. Okay. And that was when the baby napped, my oldest would stay in a quiet space and do quiet things. I prepared jigsaw puzzles, lots of books. I think we had a tape recorder back then, which is so antiquated, but so she would listen to books, and it was just a quiet time, and I slept. When the baby slept, I slept. Now, not every nap. The morning nap was a little bit shorter. It was a 30-minute window, but the afternoon nap ended up being a 2-hour nap routine that he kind of established himself. And so I slept for almost a solid week for those 2 hours during the day. That meant the laundry wasn't getting done. The dinner was not being prepped. The floors were still gross and needed attention. The chaos of our house remained in chaos, but I slept because God said rest. And so I did. And it was hard at first. The first couple of naps, I would just lay there thinking I really need to be doing something else, but I'm going to rest. And I started, just relaxing my toes and then relaxing my calves and then relaxing my hips and all the way up until my alarm went off and I was sleeping. I had slept. And so I started with rest. And as that routine kind of got a little bit easier, I found I didn't really need 2 hours of rest. I needed maybe an hour of rest. So it allowed me to use the other hour to add something else. And I think that's the key, is that when we start with rest and we filled our cup, then we have things that we can overflow into the world.
Yeah,
and our world can maybe just 2 kids and a husband and a house, but that's the world that we were called to minister to, or I was at that time. So I started with a week, maybe 2 weeks that I rested only. But then when I found, hey, I'm getting the hang of this, I'm going to add something else to my schedule. So I rested, and then I cleaned the kitchen from breakfast. And so I would spend my time making sure the floors were clean, and I had one clean space.
In your entire house, you slept, you took care of your kids, and then you cleaned one space in your house.
Space. Then it was very easy to add the one space plus a load of laundry.
Okay.
Then it was very easy to add in the weeks that followed 2 spaces that could be considered one zone: the dining room, the kitchen dining, and the kitchen, and 2 loads of laundry, and still get an hour nap in. And I think that's how everything now kind of functions in my life. When I break the big task down, whether it's a birthday party or a homeschool lesson, when I break that giant task that seems overwhelming, when I break it down into small, manageable pieces, I find I can get so much done.
So the bottom line here, to be not overwhelmed with everything we have to do, is to set goals of what you want to do, but also take small portions of things you have to accomplish in a day. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
And, but I had to surrender all of it first because there were so many things to do in my house. But, it really didn't take but maybe 3 months to get all of that back in order and under control. And even today, I still use that system. So I start my morning at 5:30 in the morning. And there are some that might disagree with me, but I schedule my time with God. I scheduled my time with my good friend. And so I schedule my time with God. I schedule that time bright and early before the sun rises because it's quiet and because I can concentrate. I set a cup of coffee and I have coffee with Jesus, and we work out those things. And I see my calendar and I ask him, is there something else that I need to put here? Or is this the thing that I need to do today?
That is Jesus you're asking.
Yes. So I start with my devotional time. I ask God to reveal his heart to me and my purpose for the day. And usually, almost without fail, I have a word that carries me into that day.
How did you get into that routine with a baby? Because maybe there is someone who has an early riser toddler, and she wants to do all those things. She wants to spend time with Jesus. She wants to spend time with herself. What does she do?
So my kids are older now, but when they were very young, I scheduled it in that quiet space. So when the baby was sleeping, and that, I didn't have to work outside the home. But if I'd had the good fortune of working outside the home, there's still those quiet moments. So when you were working outside the home, I think I remember saying to you, after they've been fed their dinner and after their baths, before you go in to tuck them in, you need to assign a 30-minute wind down time.
For everybody.
For everybody. The day is coming to a close. Everyone's been bathed. Everyone's been fed. Your quiet time is Mama's quiet time too. We're going to spend 30 minutes to an hour before lights out, go to sleep. Shh.
Everybody.
Everybody's down. So you have just this quiet time of, that's a good homework time, or that's a good reading time, an independent reading time. Yes, you want to read your children bedtime stories, but you need to fill your cup before you extend your love and support and all those things that are needed from you during the day. And that went for my husband too.
Oh.
So in the morning,
okay,
that is not a time when he's going to talk to me about his day.
Okay.
I get a full hour of me time. And I think if I worked outside the home, I would say this is an hour of everybody winding down. You can put your affairs in order. You can look at your calendar for the next day. You can look at your calendar for the things that you didn't complete and want to put on your next day. But whatever it is, you need a quiet, when you're not engaged in conversations, when you're not engaged in the multitask of, I have to get this done. It's okay. I keep a running list of things that come up during my quiet time to clear it out. This is something I'm going to do later. Right now, I'm sitting with Jesus. So that's what my morning routine starts at 5:30 in the morning. And I found that once I set my alarm for 5:30, I'm waking up at 5:30 anyway, even without an alarm, because it takes that. I think there's like experts that say it's 30 days that makes a habit, and I established the habit. So now I'm up at 5:30 no matter what. Now we go to bed early.
or you have to go to bed early for your body to be able to wake you up.
Yeah.
At 5:30.
But even on those nights that we're out with activities till 10 o'clock at night, or sometimes 11 o'clock at night, my body will still wake up at 5:30.
That's nice.
And I honor it because I have a date.
Yeah. You have a date with Jesus.
I have a date with Jesus. So Jesus is going to dictate whether or not I get a nap that day. If I've stayed out late the night before and I'm up at 5:30 and honor that commitment that I've made, then never fails. I always get a little rest time. Somewhere in the day, something happens and a schedule is changed, or a moment happens where I can just sit and put my feet up for a little while. I may not sleep. I've kind of grown out of sleeping in the day, but my husband will sleep.
That's
he takes a nap. Everything.
I was going to ask you about if when your children outgrew the nap time, because that's where my children are now. Did that help because they were able to do little things around you, or it made your rest time harder? Did that take away your rest time?
No, it actually made it easier, because as they grew out of their nap, they too are establishing that healthy routine of rest, a time of rest. You don't have to talk to anyone. It's a no phone time. We don't have screens during that time. So it's that time to give God a chance to tell you something. Listen for God's voice. What is it that you want to learn from this? Quiet time. And sometimes, I don't know that sometimes it's just a rest time. Clear your mind. I think rest is one of the keys. He wants us to rest in Him.
Yeah. Now I'm going to take you on another side away from the kids. And that would be planning for your family, and this is something I'm asking you because I know you do it. Every time I ask you, is this day and day, are you free? And you're like, oh, let me look at my calendar. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, she has a calendar. Every day is mapped. So how do you bring your entire family in a month on the same paper and the same line, doing the same things?
So I do keep a paper calendar as well as a calendar on my phone, so that while we're out and someone says, I'd like to meet you for coffee sometime, I can say, oh, I have a space right here. And then I make sure that I mark that on my paper calendar so that when I'm at home at 5:30 in the morning, I can see the events that are planned for the day. Okay. On that paper calendar, when I had the 4 children at home, I assigned everyone a color.
Okay. Each child has a color on your calendar. A color
that allowed me to dictate what their outside activities were for the day. Each child got a color for the main family calendar that I kept, but I also kept, and it was like a desk calendar. I also put on that a color for my husband's activities, work, travel, or things that he needed to do. I kept all that on that calendar with him having a special color. And then I got purple. Every journal that I open, it has that space at the front where who does this journal belong to? It's Christian, the lover of purple pens. So I am the purple pen. So they know at one glance what's coming up in the week for who. And so now my calendar has only 2 children colors at home.
Because they too
right. But occasionally the college boy gets on the calendar because he's coming home, and I'll put, him in his color on the desk calendar. But I keep all those calendars also on my phone because that's handy dandy. You can put all sorts of colors and you can assign everybody a calendar that falls on those days. So I keep it on a calendar.
That's so nice. And wow. I have a long way to go. So sometimes my days go as I wake up, of which sometimes that makes I get overwhelmed because I didn't plan well how my day was going to go, and something comes in and another one is not done. But I think that is a good habit to include in my planning and my daily activities, to know exactly where everyone has to be. And I know, but my husband would not be knowing, and sometimes I forget things, and I think it is because I don't write them down.
On that calendar too, pardon me, not on the paper calendar, but in my phone calendar, if I know that I need cookies or cupcakes for the team or team snacks, or I need to prepare an activity or something for the Bible study, I will actually 3 days ahead of time put on that calendar that I need to go to the grocery store and pick these items up. I need these items to make sure that the snack is prepared. And I put on that calendar the next day, begin preparing the snack. So I have everything ready to go for the actual day's events.
Wow.
And so I'm not scrambling at the last minute to put things together.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to talk, maybe next time.
Okay.
I would like to talk about what my day looks like and how I manage like household chores throughout the day. You and I have talked about that before.
Yes.
So I do want to talk about that.
Well, I can't believe we are getting to the close.
It went fast.
It went so fast, and I think you still have a lot to share with us. So we are going to close from here. Our viewers, thank you so much for listening, and we are requesting that you go in the comment section, tell us what you think. Like our videos. I am going to see if Miss Christian can come back for part 2, because I know there is a lot that we were not able to cover in this first session. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We will see you again. Bye-bye.